$450 million. Russian airbase annihilated after secret defector plot disables S-400 shield. Today at 2:42 a.m., the strike that would erase nearly $450 million of Russian air power began to unfold in complete silence. Primorsko-Akhtarsk Airbase, one of Moscow's most important southern aviation hubs, was about to be dismantled in 8 minutes. And at the center of this destruction was not a new Ukrainian weapon, but a flaw hidden inside Russia's own procedures, exposed by 11 defectors who delivered a single decisive advantage: a guaranteed 28-minute blackout in the base's S-400 air defense system. For Ukraine, that window was not just an opportunity, it was a fully mapped countdown. A moment when the most powerful radar network in the region would be shut down for a mandatory diagnostic. A period when the radars that normally guard the coastline, guide interceptors, and warn crews of incoming threats would be absolutely blind. Ukrainian planners understood that if they struck during this shutdown, Russian defenses would be forced to fight separately, without coordination, and under impossible conditions. That understanding shaped every second that followed. By 2:05 a.m., the launch crews east of Zaporizhia were already locked onto their targets. 8 ATACMS missiles, each carrying hundreds of cluster bomblets, or a high-yield unitary warhead, ignited in rapid sequence. The missiles surged upward on columns of fire, accelerating to nearly Mach 3 within seconds. Their ballistic trajectory carried them to roughly 160,000 feet, placing them on the edge of the radar horizon. Without the S-400's gravestone radar online, the Pantsir S-1 crews at Primorsko-Akhtarsk had no wide area tracking support. They could only wait, unaware that 8 hypersonic signatures were already descending toward them. The flight time was just over 4 minutes. The gamble hinged on the Russian crews following their rigid schedule. If anyone restarted the S-400 early, by even 2 minutes, the 40 N6 interceptors could reach out more than 250 miles and destroy the entire strike package. But on this night, no one did. As the ATACMS climbed, another wave of assets was already in motion. 35 FPV quadcopters, cheap, maneuverable, and almost invisible to radar, lifted off from concealed Ukrainian positions. Flying at roughly 80 feet and navigating by terrain contours, they remained below the curvature of the Earth from Russian sensors. The S-400's filters, designed to ignore small clutter, simply did not register them. Their purpose was not to break the defenses first, but to arrive when the defenses were exhausted, precision tools following a supersonic hammer. At 2:31 a.m., an operator inside a Pantsir cabin noticed a sudden symbol appear almost directly overhead. It was a missile dropping at a near vertical angle, moving at speeds that left almost no reaction time. A panicked order to lock fire cut through the radio, followed by the launch of 257 E6 interceptors. The missiles rose in bright arcs, but could not match the ATACMS velocity. The first Ukrainian warhead slammed into a Fab 500 storage depot. A white flash lit the entire coastline, and then a shockwave tore outward as nearly 150 tons of explosives detonated sympathetically. The blast threw open the doors of the Pantsir cabin, knocking the operators against their consoles. Within seconds, the next 4 ATACMS missiles plunged through the smoke. Russian gunners acted with remarkable discipline. They linked their tracking feeds, created a shared picture through the haze, and fired interceptor pairs at predicted intercept points, rather than waiting for visual confirmation. 1 ATACMS was destroyed. 3 broke through, scattering more than 3,800 cluster bomblets across the runway, ripping it into a line of deep craters. The defenders had scored a genuine kill, but that kill cost them nearly 70% of their ready-to-fire missile, and the final 3 ATACMS were already descending. Under overwhelming strain, the defenders managed to shoot down 1 more, but the remaining 2 slammed into the fuel depot and command facilities. Explosions cascaded across the base, rupturing pipelines and throwing burning debris hundreds of meters into the air. With this, the supersonic phase of the attack had completed its purpose, isolating, blinding, and overwhelming every major Russian air defense element. At 2:32 a.m., as the last ATACMS detonated near the command post, the FPV swarm began to arrive. They emerged from the darkness like a coordinated pack, advancing through the smoke and using the fires of the base as visual landmark. The Pantsir crews, shaken and nearly out of missiles, saw dozens of small contacts appear on their remaining screens, slow-moving, erratic, and dangerously low. The first group of 12 drones struck towards the open hangars housing 6 Su-34 fullback strike aircraft. With no missiles left, the nearest Panzer switched to its dual 30mm cannon, firing up to 2,000 rounds per minute. 3 drones were shredded instantly. 9 made it through. They impacted the exposed aircraft, igniting Ki-59 missiles stored beneath the wing and triggering fuel fires that consumed the entire row of bombers. The second drone group targeted Su-30 fighters on the tarmac. 1 Panzer crew, positioned with clearer visibility, executed a smart but desperate tactic. They fired their last 4 interceptor missiles not at individual drones, but into the airspace ahead of them, turning each into a fragmentation zone. 5 drones were destroyed, but 7 broke formation, reoriented, and slammed into the fighters. The explosions turned 3 Su-30s into pillars of flame. By this point, Ukrainian operators had already inflicted catastrophic damage. The destruction of 9 combat aircraft and the crippling of the runway and command zone, damage valued well over $450 million in materiel and infrastructure. And yet the most decisive target still remained: the S-400 battery, attempting to reboot. The final group of 11 drones, the Alpha Pack, raced toward the radar vehicles and command cabin. Inside the S-400 control vehicle, a major watched in disbelief as the system powered back online. Symbols appeared inside the perimeter, far too close for proper engagement. He ordered immediate fire, but the massive launchers needed precious time to align. Only 1 Panzer remained operational, and it had no missiles left. The gunner began firing bursts of 30mm rounds, cutting down 4 drones in quick succession. His accuracy was extraordinary under such stress, but 7 drones remained. They darted through the fire, maneuvered around flaming wreckage, and reached the heart of the S-400 system. 1 hit the 92 N6E gravestone radar, disabling the array instantly. 2 struck the command cabin, shattering its structure. The remaining drones methodically destroyed the remaining launch equipment. Within seconds, the S-400, the flagship of Russia's southern defense network, was silent. By dawn, the airfield resembled a graveyard. The melted carcasses of Su-34s sat warped inside collapsed hangars. The Su-30s on the tarmac were reduced to charred skeletons. The fuel depot smoldered in black pools, and the S-400 system lay twisted across the center of the base, shorn of its antenna and shattered into debris. For the surviving personnel, the realization was bitter. They had not only been outmatched, they had been betrayed. As word reached Moscow, the reaction was immediate confusion. Initial reports were dismissed as exaggerations, but satellite images soon confirmed the scale of the destruction. The Kremlin's first public statement was a brief, sanitized claim of a minor technical incident involving a fuel depot. But social media channels inside Russia were already flooded with distant recordings of the blasts, contradicting the official line. The operational consequences emerged quickly. Primorsko-Akhtarsk served as a major hub for Su-34 strike missions and Shahed drone launches across southern Ukraine. Its destruction produced a 72-hour reduction of roughly 40% in Russian strike capacity over key fronts. Pause Ukraine had not seen for months. Ground forces in Kherson and Zaporizhzhia reported immediate relief from bombardments. Yet the most damaging effect was psychological. Russia now faced a strategic dilemma: continue to rely on large fixed bases and risk similar attacks, or pull their air assets farther from the front, weakening their ability to support troops in combat. At the same time, every Russian operator now understood that their own sealed protocols, the very rules designed to keep the system safe, could be turned against them. Modern war, Ukraine demonstrated, is not just about superior technology. It is also about exploiting human rhythm, system rigidity, and predictable procedure. A handful of insiders created a vulnerability, coordinated missiles created the breach, and cheap, expendable drones delivered the finishing blow. The 8-minute strike transformed a hardened airbase into scrap metal and forced the Russian military to reconsider its assumptions about defense in depth. In one synchronized attack, Ukraine proved that a combination of Mach 3 ballistic weapons, low visibility drones, and precise timing could bring a high-value installation to collapse. For Russia, it signaled that their greatest threat may not be Ukrainian weapons themselves, but the growing number of soldiers willing to undermine the systems they operate. Today's destruction, totaling more than $450 million in losses, showed how quickly a modern base can fall when its defenses hesitate, even for minutes. And as the smoke settled across the shattered runway, one question lingered over the ruins. Will Russia face more danger from the missiles approaching them, or from the insiders quietly switching their air defenses off? Share your thoughts below.